Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. It's been a while, but we are back, and today we'll be talking about built-in functions in Python. So we'll mainly be talking about the math module and the random module. So in Python, you can import what we call modules. And what modules are, they're just Python files, but they're mainly used to separate different files to make larger programs more manageable. And what these files will mainly consist of are, attributes, functions, and this other stuff. And you'll see what I'm talking about later. I will go more into depth about modules later in this series, but for now, we'll just cover the basics. So an import a module is very simple in Python. You can just do import, and we'll start with math. So you do import and then the module that you're importing. And for example, this file is named built-in functions tut.py. So if I wanted to import this file, I would just do import built-in functions _tut. Just the file name, and you'll see that's right. So we'll do import math because there's a file known as math.pow, and we'll just start with a few basic functions. So actually, if we want to see all the functions that a module has, we can do import directory and then the name of the module. So print directory or dir and then in parentheses the name of the module that we want to see. And you'll see here it prints out in a list all of the different attributes and methods that you can use. So let's start with square root. So say we have a number, and we talked about variables in our previous video. So we have a number, and that's equal to 81. Now if I want to take the square root of this number, what I can do is let's do square root underscore num. And what we're going to do is we're going to do the name of the module, so math. We're going to use this dot operator, and then we're going to do the name of the function, so square root, as you can see down here. And then the number that we're taking the square root. So we're taking the square root of num, which is 81. So if we go back to our elementary or middle school math days, hopefully this will print out 9. And we'll see. And it does. It prints out 9, and it is a floating point number. So that's a pretty self-explanatory basic function. We can also, let's do pow, math.pow. So we have another number, and for convenience we'll just do 9. And say I wanted to take 9 squared, so I can say square underscore num. Actually no, let's do num underscore pow, and let's equal that to math. Same thing in the module name, dot operator, and then the name of the function. And this one takes 2 arguments. And math.pow, it takes, our first argument will be the base, the number, and then the second argument is what you're raising it to. So if I'm raising 9 to the power of 2, my first argument is 9, and my second argument is to the power of 2. Okay? So if I print this out, this will print out, it should print out 81. Okay? And it printed out 9 because I printed out the variable name. Sorry about that. So now we have 9, and we have from math.square root, and then we have 81. So we just did the reverse. Now, say we want to take 9 cubed. Well, we'll just change this argument here, and this will print out 729. Nice. I guess the last function that we'll touch on is fabs. So Python already has a built-in absolute value function. So if I just say num3 equals negative 81, and I do abs underscore num3, we don't have to use the dot operator here because this is already built in. This is not in the math module. This is built into Python. And so we can just do num3 equals absolute value num3. Okay, and we can print this out. And of course this would print out 81 num3. Now, the where fabs comes into play is, what if I wanted to make this a floating point number? I don't want this, because right now abs prints out that either it could print out an int or a float depending on what it's printing out, but in this case it will print out an int. Now if I wanted to make this a float for whatever reason, I'll just do the same thing we've been doing, math and then fabs. So fab stands for float absolute. And so now if we print this out, it won't be 81, it'll be 81.0, it'll be a floating point number. So that's the difference between the two. And those are the three functions that I'll cover for math. If you want to learn more about the different functions, of course we have the directory, which we just printed out earlier. You can also go to PyDocs, and there's plenty of documentation on not only the function names, but what they do as well. So if you don't know, for example, what gamma does, then the documentation will have that. Let's move on to the random. This is another important module. Say you wanted to create a guessing game, and you wanted the computer to generate a random number each time you run the program for the person to guess. Well, that's when the random module will come into play. And if we wanted to do that, let's comment out. We'll probably make a guessing game later once we learn about control flow, which will be my next video. If we wanted to print out a random number, let's say x, and we'll do the same thing. Name of the module dot. Actually, first let's print out the directory, and then remember module name. So here we go, and I'll comment this out so we can only see random. So we can see all the different attributes and methods associated with the random module. Let's start with randint right here. Okay. So let's do x equals random. Remember the name of the module dot randint. And so it says here, return random integer in range a to b. So it's inclusive. So if I wanted to take a random number from 1 through 10, including 1 and including 10, then I'll do random.randint equals, I'll do x equals random.randint. 1 is my first argument, my start, and 10 is my end, my ending range. I can just print out x. And what you'll notice is that each time I run this program, it's very likely that I'll get a different number. But of course, I got the same number here, but it's just printing a random integer each time I run this program. And of course, as you increase the range, the less likely you will be to repeat a number. Okay? What else do we have here? Random.random. Let's do y equals random.random. What random.random would do is it will generate a random number from 0 to 1, a random floating point number from 0 to 1, and that is not inclusive, okay? So if I print out y, see I printed out 0.756, blah, 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 blah. Now you may be thinking, what am I supposed to do with that? Well, you can actually manipulate this. So if I wanted to increase the range, say I don't want it from 0 to 1, say I wanted it from 0 to 11. So I can do times 11. Times 11. And so now we have a random integer from 0 to 11. A random floating point number from 0 to 11. Okay. And that's not inclusive, remember. Now, you can also manipulate the starting range as well. So say I want it from, not from 0 to 11, but if I subtract 5 here, this would be from -5 to 6. Okay? So all I'm doing is I'm subtracting 5. So this is subtracting 5 from the start range. So now hopefully we can see we get a negative floating point number. Hopefully, and we do here, -2.43. So that's how we can use that if we want to, and we can manipulate the range, we can manipulate where we start. So that's another interesting one. Now, this is one of my favorites, random.seed. Now, if I do the random.seed, now random numbers are not really random. So yes, there's an algorithm to output random numbers. Now, what random.seed is, what it will do is, it will make sure that we have the same set of data each time we run this program. So I like to think of it as it's halting the algorithm. So if let's just do z equals random.randint 1 through 100. And I print out z, which you will notice that it prints out the same number every single time. And it'll print out 31. And hopefully you're also getting 31 here as well. So we're all getting 31. And that's because it's seeding it, it's planting it. And that's the way I like to look at it. It's static. And it's interesting. I have seen this a lot in data science tutorials. If I want to explain something to you in data science terms, and I want you to have the same set of data as me, then we'll use random.seed so we can all be on the same page. But yeah, those are the math and random modules. Again, if you want to explore the random module, you can go and look up the documentation and play with some other functions as well. And that will do it for this video. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. And in the next video, we'll be talking about control flow. So if, elif, and else statements in Python. Thank you and take it easy.